Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Buongiorno everybody, Saratoga Today, day 15 into the 2021 meet. You're with Past the Wire, John Stetton, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and shout out to those that help make these videos possible. Wager, whose commercial you'll see on this video, Zilla Racing Stables, exciting partnership that's hitting the board and winning all over Saratoga so far. Our friends at Spendthrift Farm, where some of the best sires in the world are standing. We're 3-4 weeks into the meet. Still got seconditis on the horses, and we're going to try and break that in a big way. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I've focused on over the years. A lot of people look at it as a negative. I don't, but to each their own. I like zeroing in on riders and trainers that I know, getting 3 weeks into the meet are not winning as much as they're used to or want to be or need to be winning. I like hungry outfits. They'll spot their horses aggressively. I like hungry riders. They'll ride aggressively, and I think aggressive riding, especially at Saratoga, I don't mean fouling, I mean aggressive riding, can lead to wins. A lot of times in these turf races where everybody's waiting, an aggressive guy will go or move early. And I just think it can backfire. You can get, too caught up in it and just not get in your groove. But good riders, they tend to get hungry, and they tend to, make the most of their opportunities. And there's a couple of guys I think fall into that category that are a little surprising. So we'll talk about a couple of riders and a couple of things that are going on in the jockey colony, in the jockey race. Interesting, and no surprises, but Luis Saez is ahead of Jose and Irad for the jockey race. He's got 24 wins, Jose 23, Irad 22. So that's going to be a race right down to the wire, I would imagine. Unless something fluky happens, which it probably won't. Joel is right behind them with Tyler, but Joel and Tyler with 14 and 13 have a lot less mounts. Like Luis has ridden 119 horses. Joel Rosario's only ridden 82. He rides much more selectively. I think he's more of a guy, and Ron Anderson, his agent, is more of a guy that they're focused on the big races and trying to win those, as opposed to trying to ride as many as they can and win the meet. I think Irad, Jose, and Luis at this point are focused on both. They're trying to win the meet and trying to win the big races as well, which is why they're riding so many more horses. And they're just very much in demand. Everybody wants those three guys, so they're going to garner the bulk of the mounts, which means they get their choice of a lot of mounts, which means they wind up on a lot of the most live and shorter price horses. So keep that in mind, and they win a lot of the races. So it's not like you can toss them by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something you got to deal with and realize during the meet. They're going to attract a lot of money, and they're riding a lot of live horses. But when you get away from them, you get a little bit of value, Jose Lezcano started to heat up. He's riding pretty good. Santana's riding good. I think the biggest surprise right now is Johnny V. Johnny V took a while to get that first win, and right now he's only 2 for 42. So he's ridden half as many mounts as Joel Rosario, and they have the same agent, Ron Anderson, and he's only got 2 winners. He's got 2 wins, 7 seconds, and a third. Those 7 seconds got to be a little frustrating. The surprise is the leading percentage rider of the meet, who's at 100%, is Corey Lanery, who's shipped in, won a stake, and he's 1-for-1. And historically, he's struggled at Saratoga, and there was one year he was actually there for the meet, and 2 or 3 weeks in left because he just couldn't get off the ground and got frustrated and packed it in. So it's very competitive. Castellano has only got 4 wins going into day 15. That's not Castellano-like. He's won some of those meets up there. I think he's got to be feeling a little pressure. But I think who's feeling the most pressure right now, and this is just my surmise, is probably David Cohn. David Cohn came up there to primarily ride for Robertino Diodoro, who he rides for out of New York. And the interesting thing there is he's ridden some horses for Diodoro. He's 1-for-23. And David Cohn can ride, make no mistake about it. He's a solid rider. But he's only 1-for-23. He's not getting a lot of mounts. 2 seconds, 3/3. 1-for-23 with 2 seconds and 3/3 tells you he's digging for everything he's worth on every chance he gets. He's ridden some really big long shots that didn't have a good chance too. But what I found really interesting is with all he rides for Diodoro, and with coming here to ride for Diodoro, they put Rosario on Keep Me in Mind in the stake the other day. And he ran lights out. I mean, he got that great trip where the seas parted like the Red Sea for him down the lane, and he saved all that ground. Just couldn't beat that other really good horse, but he ran a heck of a race, and Rosario rode him, for all he was worth. And Cohn, who's riding a lot of those Diodoro horses, didn't ride Keep Me in Mind in the stake. So those connections are probably looking at the same thing that I am, that he's just not in his groove. Another guy who's not in his groove, who I think is a really good rider, a really strong finisher, and has also got to be now feeling it a little bit. And we touched on it the other day when Mott run that horse that I said was a runner, and I believe is a runner, that took a ton of money, that got left in the gate and made that big move. Cody something, I think the horse's name is, forgive me, but they took him off that horse and put Rosario on, even though he's riding for Mott. He's riding a lot for Mott, riding a lot of live horses. Rode one the other day that had a horrendous trip, New York Girl from the rail. That horse is going to be on tracking trips, I'm sure. He's 3-for-50, and he's ridden some live horses, in my opinion. So when you're riding for an outfit like Mott, and you're 3-for-50 and got taken off one that you probably should have rode, and messed up another one that's a stakes quality filly that you want to keep. I'm sure he's hungry and aggressive and knows that he's got to start producing, or Saratoga could be a bad meet for him, which can lead to a loss in business. These guys ride without contracts, without guarantees. You got to produce the goods, or it can be over faster than it started. Believe me, super ultra competitive. Eric Cancel, heated up before Saratoga. Really improved his game a lot over the past several months. I thought and pegged him a year ago as being underrated and starting to get better, and I think that came to fruition. I think he can ride when his head is right and in the game, but 2-for-60 at Saratoga going into day 15 is not where you want to be if you're looking to make a statement that, hey, I've taken my game to the next level, and I'm one of the players on the Naira circuit right now. The race he won with that main track only horse, the 15 or 16, he won that race from the outside, the last race with that heavy favorite. He dropped the stick, still won, but dropped the stick, which that's not a statement move either, at least not a statement that you want to make. So Dylan Davis had a big meet last year. He's only got 5 wins for 60 mounts this year. He's not doing as good as he did last year, but I think he's really up against it with the kind of business that he has at a meet like Saratoga, so I would think he's doing all right. But the guys I think got to be feeling the pressure are David Cohn, Eric Cancel, Johnny V of all people, and Junior Alvarado. So those are the guys I think are going in every day saying, hey, I got to win a race, I got to win a race, I got to win a race. And I would look for them to be riding aggressively and making the most of any opportunity. So to me, how that translates to my betting is when I see them on a live horse and you know, I'm getting a little bit of a price because of the connections or because they're a little cold, I'll press a little bit. I'm not afraid of that. You know, I want to get out of that slump with them. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Not a lot of surprises in the trainer race either, other than, you know, Chad Brown is fourth and 7 for 54, and people will tell you he's cold. A lot of people are killed to be 7 for 54 when they're cold. He's got 16 seconds. That's by far more than anybody else. So he's kind of had a seconditis meet like we have, or like I have. Hope not you guys and gals, but those will turn for him. You know what I mean? I still expect him to heat up. Mike Maker, winning everything. Everything is running except Special Reserve, the horse that I really made a nice I made a nice bet on. That one, Lexitonian comes back on the inside to beat. It's a funny game, horse race, and we'll humble everybody at some point. But Maker's on top with 14. Pletcher always rock solid, second with 8. Steve Asmussen with 8, closing on the, you know, most wins in the history of the game record, which he's publicly and openly said he wants and is after. But no real surprises. The new name on the list is tied for 7 with Bill Mott. That would have to be Rob Atras. You know, you're not used to seeing him top 5, top 10 up at Saratoga. He's there now, and we'll see if he can hold that up to the end of the meet and stay on the board like that. I don't know how many horses he has, or if he has the kind of firepower in the barn to do that for the meet, but he does. The other guy I'll mention who's not on the meet, who run really only one horse that probably should have won that had a bad trip, is my man Peter Walder. He's up there with a barn full of horses. He's got about 12 to 14 horses up there. Been having a hard time getting them in, getting the right spots, the races to go. We all know how that is. When you have a limited number of horses, the races just don't seem to go for you. But I would be very surprised if he goes the whole meet without getting a win or two. So he's on the radar. We'll touch base with him when he's got some live ones in there. Maybe even get him on the show and see what happens with that. But that's my thought on the trainer and jockey race. I think Brown is going to make a late run and start turning some of those seconds into wins. I think Maker's got enough firepower in the barn to keep it going till the end of the meet, and is going to be right in the fight. Pletcher's always in the fight. Asmussen's probably going to break the record, and we'll see how it goes. Brad Cox is in there. Christophe Clement's in there. Mott. We expect all those guys. Wesley Ward, 4 for 14. Not running a lot of horses, but not bad. Orlando Noda on the board, trains for our guys at Zilla. He's 3 for 21. So we'll see how that goes and watch it. And let's take a quick look at today's card. Not the greatest Saratoga card. Starts with a steeplechase. Does have 2 little stakes. I thought something was interesting in the New York Stallion Stake, which is the 5th race on the card. Nothing earth-shattering. I just found a little thing on. Let me go to the PP so I could speak about it. Sport model for Reeves Thoroughbred. We've had an interview with Dean Reeves. Really, really nice guy. Runs a really good operation. Has horses with Christophe Clement. They've got the favorite at 8 to 5 that Luis Saez won a New York Stallion Series race with back at June at Belmont, going 7/8 of a mile. Luis is not really a main rider for Clement, and he's not really a main rider for Rudy Rodriguez yet. He's off Sport Model, who he won a stake with last time. Irad is on, and Luis winds up on She's a Dirty Dancer for Rudy Rodriguez. So I don't know what happened here. I got to think that these horses coming out of that other race were probably pointing for this race. So I don't think it was like a surprise that one went in here when one guy already gave somebody else a call. So I don't really know. I didn't look into kind of what happened and how that happened, but I found it a little bit odd that Luis wouldn't be riding back the horse that he rode last time. And Irad would. So we'll see how that plays out. I thought it was a little bit interesting. The other stake is the Shine Again. You probably remember Shine Again, fast filly for the Giant Killer, Alan Jurgens. This is a 7/8 race on the main track. The weather's good up there today. The morning line favorite is Bayerness, who Luis Saez rides. She's 3 for 9. Fast filly for Sherry DeVoe. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination she has to win. The other short price on the morning line is Ann Cat, Junior Alvarado, for Bill Mott. The pressure's on. He's going to feel that, and if this filly's got it, you know he's going to want to. He's not going to want to, come up short in this race, and certainly not going to want to get a bad trip or make a mistake. So I would keep that in mind when I was wagering, and how you feel about that is, yeah, it's going to make him better, make him produce, or no, may get in his head, may make him a little antsy, gun shy, move too soon, move too late. I don't think it's going to hurt him. I think it's going to help him. I think he's hungry and aggressive, but that's just my take. Bronx Beauty for Anthony Margada. A lot of bottom to her. She's 10 for 29. She's been in a lot of different races at a lot of different racetracks over a lot of time. She's kind of a war horse against a couple that are a lot more lightly raced than her. She gets Irad, who's always dangerous, and she's run some good races. She's run races good enough to be very, very competitive here. I don't know that I like her, but she certainly wouldn't be a surprise. Casual is an interesting horse. I always thought this was going to be a really good one. Didn't turn out that way. I actually thought she had a shot in the Acorn Stakes back in 2020 against Gamine. So it shows you what I knew then. But a lot of other people did too, and nobody at that point really knew that Gamine was going to be as good as she could be. And this horse, I thought, had an outside chance. If anybody was going to upset her, I thought it was going to be her, and she didn't run a step. She got beat 32 lengths. She, ran at Ellis after that, got drubbed again, freshened up, and just never came back to be all that. She's only 7-2 on the morning line. I guess that's Steve Asmussen money. I'm not sure if she's going to be that short. But I thought she was going to be good. I'm not sure. Now, she is out of Lady Tack. A lot of you remember Lady Tack, I think, won the test at Saratoga for Steve Asmussen. And that's part of why I thought she was going to be a lot better than she turned out to be. On her way is going to be a long shot for Charlton Baker. And a long shot that is fresh, and that I think is a dangerous long shot, to tell you the truth. If I was spreading or taking a stab in this race, this is definitely a horse that I would include, because I think that her best races put her right there. I think that she gets a good trip on the outside with Lascano sitting off the speed in the clear. I think she's ran with some fast horses that would be very competitive here, like Frank's Rocket and a couple of others. And I think on her best, she can make some noise, and she likes it up at Saratoga. She's done well there in the past, albeit against a little cheaper, but I don't think she's the worst stab in the world by any stretch of the imagination. The bottom horse, Whispering Palms, I think would really have to step up to win here and run better than she ever has before. She's coming off a nice win, but I don't know how much forward she's going to go off that win to make her competitive here. So I didn't really figure her as a contender in here. She does get Jose, and we talked about always having to watch these leading riders, but that was that. I'm not going to be pushing. I'm going to look to turn this seconditis in a big way. I'm going to look for that next major wager. There is a horse in the last race that caught my eye a little bit that I may play, depending on how the day's going. But I thought the 2 Be Up was interesting for Jonathan Thomas. Jonathan Thomas I don't know that you can call him under the radar. I mean, he's had some really good horses, but he's only had about 3 starts at the meet with 1 win. But he's a very, very sharp, good trainer. He ran this horse at Delaware, first time out in a maiden 40. Not much in a maiden 40 at Delaware, I get that. But this horse was able to win at a mile and 3/8 first time out. She's a 3-year-old, will have to face older. Off that race, they ran her into Christiana over soft turf at a mile and a 16th, and ran a decent race. Ran okay. She was stalking the pace. It was a much faster pace than she saw first time out. She was able to stalk first time out at a mile and 3/8. Was able to stalk at a mile and a 16th over soft going, very soft going, and a very slow pace for a mile and a 16th, but much faster than she saw first time out. And she ran an even race, fourth by 4 in that stake. So off the maiden claimer, they took a shot in the stake with her. And now they bring her to Saratoga, protect her in an allowance for horses starter allowance for horses that have run for 50 and less. And she's got to face older. She's 8-1, but she gets Luis Saez, the leading rider. She's got an inside draw. Pace-wise, I don't know. She may get shuffled back a little bit on the inside. She's got to beat some older horses, but I don't think there's any monsters in here by any stretch of the imagination. And there's a couple of horses I would call disappointing. So she's lightly raced. She's taken a drop in class, although it's against older. But the price is right, and I think she's a live one for sure. So we'll see how the card looks tomorrow. We'll see how the rider race continues and the trainer race continues. We'll see if Jonathan Thomas's horse can make some noise. See those other 2 stakes. Hopefully the weather stays clear. We've got the Whitney coming up, a big day on Saturday. I'm looking to break out in a big way, so hopefully the opportunities will be there in the next coming days or on Saturday. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back to reconvene in the AM, and ciao for now. Nobody does it better.